Let's talk a little bit about love languages, how we express love to one another, how we perceive love, how we receive love. You've probably heard stories of guys who were just not good with their words, with saying those words of affirmation and affection and just pouring on the honey-soaked words of love. Instead, they were working hard and providing for their family, doing everything that needed to be done to support the needs of the family. And then when asked, "Do you really love me?" they're saying, "What do you mean? Of course I love you. Do you see how I've been doing all these things for you?" It's because they were trying to express love in the way they knew, while someone else was trying to interpret it by looking for love in the way they understood. See, I get to do a lot of traveling, and when I go to a different place, there's a couple of things I have to navigate. One is I have to learn some of the language, some of the words. The words are really important, but there's so much more than just the words. I have to learn some of the customs, some of the ways to greet one another, the appropriate touch and when it's not appropriate to touch, and when to make eye contact, and when to bow, and when to embrace, and when to hold the hand, and all the subtle things that go into communicating that I care about them. It's not just the language that's important, it's speaking it so they can understand it and receive it. So when we talk about love languages, some have seen it abused, and I've heard someone say it's like finding out what that selfish part of you is and then feeding it, or what your heart idol is and then nurturing it. We're not talking about that at all. We're not talking about ways that this could be abused by just selfishly wanting things to be done my way. But it's learning to communicate like Jesus did, his love and affection for us. And you see that Jesus did it in many different ways. And so as parents and teachers and counselors and friends, even fellow workers in the ministry, we need to learn how to share our feelings and our support, our emotions, our care for one another in a way that can be really understood and appreciated. And so there is a diversity of expression in how we show we love one another. And so that's what we're going to be talking about, is different ways to share that you love and care for someone. And each of us do it in some natural ways, and each of us perceive it probably in the way that is most comfortable to me. If it's words, if I'm really good with words and saying how much I love you and care about you, then I'm going to be listening for words from other people. That's just really natural, but it's not the only way. I can't insist that you only communicate to me in what's normal and easy and comfortable for me. I also can't say, "Too bad for you, I'm only going to communicate love in this one narrow way, the one that's most comfortable for me." I think we have to learn to provide the full spectrum of expression of love to one another. So let's talk about 5 basic categories that those expressions of love fall into. And you'll be watching as we go through this, listening for ones that are, "That's me. That's how I tend to express my love and affection. That one is really easy for me and comfortable for me. Oh, and that one's probably a close second. I never do those two. Yeah. And that one just seems impossible for me." We can't stick with the one or two. We have to learn that full expression. Also, when we watch other people who are sharing their love and care for us, we can't just look for those two. We have to go, "Oh, I see. That's why they do that. Well, that's why they act like that. They're really showing care and concern for me." So if you're in a classroom, you're working with a group, or you're a teacher or counselor, and you see lots of different kinds of people, probably best for us to learn to express care in a wide variety of ways so that we meet the needs of most of the people that we interact with. So let's look at those 5 broad categories first. The first one we call touch. It's just that very appropriate touch that's really important. You look at how many times Jesus interacted with people and he touched them. Parents brought their children to Jesus with the hopes that he would touch them. Even when the disciples tried to stop them, Jesus rebuked them and said, "Let those kids come to me." And I can imagine that as soon as he motioned for them to come, they ran to him and jumped on him, climbed in his lap and latched onto his leg. And they were experiencing from Jesus an appropriate touch. And it says he took them in his arms and he laid his hands on them. He blessed them and prayed for them. And so part of what we do as parents, teachers, counselors, friends, is we do an appropriate touch. Sometimes it's a handshake, sometimes it's a rub on the arm, sometimes a hug or an embrace, but it's a touch that communicates clearly that I care about you. Parents get a chance to do this a lot from the time babies are born and they first come into our home. We're always caring for them and touching them. And so as we grow up, that touch is often so important for us. We touch someone when we pray for them. It's another way to express our care for them. And when we bless, the Bible has this picture of putting your hands on someone to bless them. It's important for us to have an appropriate touch as part of the communication of our love and care for one another. It's an action that confirms our words, right? And in fact, that's what the next thing is. The next one is our words, words of affirmation. How many times Jesus used words of affirmation for his disciples? And in fact, one time he says, I don't call you servants. I'm calling you my friends. And he would say things that were very intimate and personal to them. And he was always reaffirming his love and care for them. We have to be careful because words are powerful. I can remember words that were said to me as a child, sometimes hurtful words that were said. They just don't fade away. And yet there are other times when someone says something caring, loving, affirming to me, and I've held on to that. It's like a treasure. I remember that. So that's why the Bible says your words have the power of life and death. They make a big impact. And so we ought to use our words carefully to express affection and care for the people we're with. We can use words that encourage or give courage and lift up. We can help someone when we say words to encourage them to continue the work, to hang in there. You can do this. Depend on God. God's going to use you. Words that encourage. We can talk about words that praise. Words that really recognize something you've done, some ability you have, and those are words of praise. And we acknowledge our love and care for what you do. They're also words of just love, and that's for who that person is, their character and their nature and who they are. And so we express words to affirm that and to bless that in them. And then even words of instruction. When we give instruction in a way that says, I want the best for you. I want you to succeed in this. So I'm going to help. I'm going to give you some instruction. Here's the secret to how to do that well. Because I'm saying it because I care about you. And even those words of instruction communicate love. So not only are we touching and doing that in a way that expresses how much I care about you, you're special to me, I feel a connection to you, but our words are saying things to encourage and to praise and to instruct and to just express love. And then the next one is really important for some folks, and it's quality time. I'm spending time with you. As kids are growing up, they tend to get a lot of our time, right? Because they're the center of everything going on, and we focus on them. We spend lots of time with them. But the older they get, sometimes that time is not spent, and yet it's craved. And it's important that we just sit and spend time with them. It says, you're important to me, and I want to invest this time. It's time that is that eye-to-eye contact, and I'm just here with you. And so a big part of that is listening, to really say, I want to hear from you. You're important to me. I want to spend this time with you. There are times when I think I'm spending time with my wife, and yet my phone is in my hand, and she'll just say gently, go ahead and finish that. I'll wait till you're finished, and then we can talk about this. And it's just an immediate reminder that I'm not spending the kind of time with her that I need to be, because she's not the center of my attention right then. I am not giving her my undivided attention. I'm focusing more on this device, so I need to put it down and spend quality time with them. Time also about things that they are interested in. If you're spending time with your kid, just taking them to work and having them watch you work is not really quality time. It's saying, how can I spend time with you? What would you like to do? I want to do that with you. And so it's really expressing, you have my full attention. It's just another way to express love. Jesus, many times, he took his disciples away and he took them up into the mountains. He spent time with them. He used the time to answer their questions, to clarify what they were thinking. He was spending quality time with them. Another one is just simple gifts, tokens, that really simply say, I was thinking about you. I saw this, and I wanted to give it to you. It doesn't have to cost a lot. Usually they're little things that are just a token to remind you of that you are loved and cared for. I often tell people that when you give this token, there ought to be some important words that go with it, because then that every time they see that token, they will remember those words. So a lot of these go hand in hand. They're all related together. Maybe this gift was given at a very special time when we were spending time together, and then I gave you this little token. It can also be gifts that really meet a need. I know how much you like this, and I know that you needed this, and so I wanted to give this to you. There's a little girl in Syria who loves to do artwork, and she's really a gifted little artist. And so bringing her some little canvases or some special pen and ink and some art materials, really important. It's meeting a need. It's something that's valuable, but it was a special gift, a special token for her. Jesus, of course, in the Bible, it talks about his great gift to us. It even refers to salvation as the gift of God, that he gave his only begotten Son. There is this generosity, this giving that is an example of Jesus' heart for us, so giving a gift. And sometimes the gift is just something, I know this is your favorite. There's a particular kind of chocolate that my wife loves. And so when I bring that home to her, I know it's her favorite. And so it clearly communicates without many words, I love you. I was thinking about you. Some little token. It's seeing how important they are and wanting to do something that expresses that. And then another category is acts of service. Jesus said at one point, he got all the disciples together and they were preparing for the Passover meal, and he said, I'm about to show you the full extent of my love for you. In the long run, he's looking at what he's going to do on the cross. The fullest extent of his love is about to be demonstrated in that weekend as he goes to the cross and dies for us. But when he says that, I'm about to show you the full extent of my love for you, the first thing he does is he washes their feet. There is this act of service. And then he said, you need to do this for each other. You need to be serving one another. This is a way that you can really genuinely show love to one another. It's not a serving, doing something for someone to manipulate them so that they do something back for you. It's just saying, I just want to serve you. I just want to, for me at home, unloading the dishwasher is an act of service. I know my wife doesn't like to do that, and so when I just get up and randomly go over and empty the dishwasher or make the bed or take out the garbage, something at home that I know she doesn't like to do, I'm just serving her. I can see that she's had a tough day, and you just do something to serve. It's just another way to say, I love you, I care about you, I'm thinking about you. So we do this even with our kids. We serve them. We do something to help them, to bless them, to just here, let me help you with that. Let me do that for you. Now, we could teach them a lesson and say, no, you made the mess, you have to do it yourself. And there's sometimes when that's appropriate. But other times when we intentionally step in to serve is really important. It's really valuable to demonstrate my love and care for you. I love you so much, I'm willing to do this for you. And often for someone who can't repay you. I'm not even looking to be repaid. I am just saying how much I love you and care for you. So we do that for others, but we can also do it with them. Here, let's do it together. And you serve alongside. And that's a bonding experience when you serve alongside. And then you can also serve in a way that teaches someone else. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you demonstrate love. So when you look at these all together, you see that it's a pretty well-rounded expression of love. I don't think that we need to focus on one or even two that are most comfortable to us, but to learn to be like Jesus and demonstrate that expression of love in the fullest way possible. One of the most moving things that I got to be a part of was when we were teaching the underground church in China. And we talked about this way to express love for each other. And then we asked them to get into groups of 3, and one of them was going to be a discouraged teacher. Most of them were coming from that kind of a background in persecution and difficulty and underground secret church, risking their lives. And one of you is a discouraged teacher ready to give up. And the other 2 are other teachers who were coming over to visit. And I want you to look for a way to express your love to them and try to do all 5 of these things as you interact with them. I want you to work up a little bit of a skit, and then I want you to demonstrate that to the rest of us. And we're going to watch to see if you use all 5 of these love languages. We had no idea what was about to happen. They took this so seriously because the teacher who was discouraged, who was sharing how they really felt, represented every need in the room. All of them could identify. They were hurting. They were in need. They were feeling alone and isolated. And those other 2 who came alongside begin to express their love for this person in the way they touched them, the words that they chose, the time they invested spending with them, the token that they gave to this person, and the way they served them and came alongside. It was so moving. There were tears, not just in the ones acting it out, but the entire room began to cry together, and as they related to what was going on and the need for that kind of ministry, that kind of expression of love. It was powerful. Some of them were singing songs to one another to encourage them and to express their love to them. It was awesome. And we begin to understand that when we as believers decide to express our love for one another, for our kids, for our fellow workers, family members, our spouses, when we decide to express love in the fullest way possible, using all these expressions of love, then we become more and more like Jesus, who used all of these expressions in the way he dealt with people. So I want to encourage you. As you listen to those 5, you probably identified the 1 or 2 that's most like you. But I want to encourage you to stretch out and try to show love in all 5 of these areas. Not to manipulate, not to try to get people to do what you want, but to become a fuller expression of the love of Jesus with the people that you interact with. I know you can do it. I know that it's going to be powerful. And so I'm hoping that you will decide to try some of these today. Let's love each other the way Jesus asked us to love one another.